I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome to the February 24th meeting of the Attleboro School Committee. This is your notice that this meeting is being electronically recorded. The first item on our agenda tonight is a spotlight from Studley Elementary School, and for that I will turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Lori Regan.
Thank you, Chairman Geddes. So tonight we're thrilled to welcome students, staff, and families from Studley Elementary School to share what they are most proud of about their school. The students that you see here tonight were actively involved in creating and shaping this presentation. And so to kick things off, we have Principal Lisa Boyle to get us started.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to spotlight our school. I am so excited for you to see our students in action as they highlight what makes Studley shine. Before we get started and turn it over to the students, I would like to acknowledge and thank the staff that are here to support our students. We have Assistant Principal Lori Santarpio. We have Instructional Coach Lynn Marcette. We have Andrea LaMonica, our PE teacher. Carrie Delpap, our Technology Instructional Coach. Grade 4 teachers, Jane Howes, Alex Latender, and Carla Crocker. I think that's all the staff. Okay. So when I heard that it was our turn to spotlight our school this year, I was really unsure what to focus on. There's a lot of wonderful things happening around the school, and it's hard to really pinpoint one thing that we felt was worth sharing with all of you. So we decided to turn it over to the students. So once we selected the 5 students who we wanted to represent us tonight, kind of put it in their hands and said, what are you most proud of? What are you proud to be a Studley star? What makes our school shine, in your opinion? And they brainstormed together. We had a lot of sessions together where they gave up their recess and talked about all the things from their heart, from the child's perspective, about what makes our school so special. And so they spent a lot of time on their own writing these speeches for you and what they felt like they wanted you to know about what it means to be a Studley star. So there are 5 of them, which you will learn later in the presentation why 5 is such an important number, so stay tuned for that. But right now I'd like to introduce our 5 4th grade students who will be representing Studley tonight. And we will be kicking it off with Tiffany.
Hello, school committee. My name is Tiffany Carvalho, and I am a 4th grader in Mrs. Howe's 4th grade classroom. Right now, I will be talking about the learning opportunities at Studley Elementary. First of all, the learning tools that the teachers use are engaging for all of the students. For example, we won't just sit there in math learning the basics of 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication. Instead, we might work with our friends we might collaborate with our friends to solve problems. Second of all, we students can use technology to make learning more fun and effective. One example is iReady. iReady is a program that we use for math purposes. The same thing also goes with ST Math. There's also Canva for writing and Library for coding. Both of these allow us to take what we are learning and apply it in a relevant way using technology. Finally, we, the students, get the learning that we need personally. What I mean is, we develop our skills in math, writing, coding, and literacy by ourselves. An example is the iReady learning path. Even though we might be learning a new topic as a class, there are still opportunities for us to reinforce our individual skills. I might need to work on angles, lines, line segments, and rays, while others might need to work on fractions. In conclusion, Studley's learning opportunities are the right level for students. The teachers know what to help the students with personally and allow us to do the thinking. Thank you for listening, and have a good night.
Good evening, school committee. My name is Layla Kaba, and I am a 4th grader in Miss Crocker's class. Tonight I will be talking about how Studley Elementary is built on a foundation of belonging. What I mean by this is staff and students believe in a school that is inclusive to everybody. It doesn't matter about your background or what you look like, everybody is held to the same expectations. We are all expected to be respectful, responsible, and safe. This is the motto of our PBIS at Studley. Staff are always looking to give out tickets to students who are caught doing the right thing. Also, students at Studley have a voice in their education. For example, a student had an idea to start a writing club with some other students. The idea was then organized and brought to the staff who made it happen. This is only one example of how the staff listen to our ideas and makes us feel safe to speak up and share our thoughts and ideas. Lastly, I'd like to share a new program to Studley called Best Buddies. This program's purpose is to support those who need encouragement to feel like they belong. A group of students, along with some staff, come together to do things to help kids who might feel shy feel connected and understood. These are a few examples of how our school is a shining star and how we support our classmates so everyone feels included here at Studley. Thank you for listening to me and have a good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kelly Sorbiola, and I'm in Miss Howe's 4th grade classroom. One of the areas I'd like to highlight is accountability. At Studley, we believe that every mistake is a learning opportunity. Our teachers work with us every day to become better citizens. Sometimes, as kids, we don't make the best choices. It's true. Everyone takes the time to talk with us, so we understand and learn to take responsibility for our actions, reflect on what we have done, and use it as a learning opportunity for the future. We learned from the beginning that being a positive citizen is just as important as our academics. Speaking of academics, we do a lot of goal setting. Setting goals, both big and small, helps us stay focused and motivated. It is one way our teachers help us stay accountable for our learning. All of these lessons help to shape us into self-directed learners and responsible citizens.
Good evening, school committee. My name is Olivia Hernandez, and I'm a 4th grader in Miss Latender's class. I will be talking about our community. The first thing I will be talking about is our PTO. We are so lucky to have so many parents who want to support our school. They plan so many fun family events for us to enjoy and work to connect all the families to the school. Some of the events that we love at Studley are the Fall Fest, Winter Fest, and the dance. These events bring everyone together and helps people feel connected to each other and the school. They also plan fun things for us kids to do during school. This year so far we got to do pumpkin painting with our class, decorate ornaments, and compete in a school-wide themed board decorating contest. Events like these allow us to have fun together and enjoy making things together. The next important thing about our community is how the Attleboro police join our makerspace on Fridays. Having them join us helps bring the school and community together by building positive relationships. It is fun to see them in their uniforms, and it helps us learn a lot about them. The last thing I will be talking about at Studley is the field trips. At Studley, our teachers plan lots of fun learning opportunities both at Studley and in the community. This helps us get to know more about the places that we go to on a field trip, and it helps us to know the history of the place that we take a field trip to. This is why I think Studley has such a great community.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Kaden Kelly, and I'm in grade 4, Miss Latender's class. I'm so excited to be here to celebrate all the amazing things that make our school shine. One of the ways we celebrate is through our spotlights. Every month, students from each class are selected as ST Math and Lexia Spotlight students. These are students who try their best and show perseverance when things get difficult. In addition, throughout the year, at our PTO meetings, staff spotlight students who stand out for demonstrating how to be a Studley star. Taking time to celebrate our students is important because we work hard every day. Every day. And it is nice to be recognized. Another way we celebrate is with our Spirit Days. Spirit Days bring us together and letting us show off our school pride and creativity in fun ways. Some of our favorites are Study Spirit, favorite character, and even theme weeks. Our staff even did a secret staff spirit weeks, which was so much fun and made everyone laugh. It makes us feel so special to know that our teachers love what they do and can have fun with us. Finally, we love coming together as a school during our monthly assembly. At these assemblies, we recognize students and staff for all their hard work to make our school a great place. The students love to see which staff gets selected. You can hear the school erupt with cheer when the name is revealed. Each year, we try to improve on our assemblies. We have added a school song and our very own mascot. What was that?
What?
He was staring through the door at me the whole time. Freaking me out.
We realized that we were the only school without a mascot, so we knew we wanted to do something about that. So we set a goal, and together with our amazing PTO, we made it happen. The Study Star mascot reminds us to always be our best, showing kindness, respect, and love for learning. Keep up the great work, guys. Study Stars, because together we shine the brightest.
Hi, my name is Elliot. Welcome to my one time. Bye.
That's
So, in conclusion, putting it all together with our learning opportunities,
Sense of belonging,
Accountability
Community,
And celebrations.
makes Studley shine.
So my friends here had a lot to say. They're very proud of their school, and I couldn't be prouder of all of you. You did awesome. Great job.
Congratulations. It's great you have a lot to say, and you all should be proud, especially coming to speak before us tonight. So I'll invite the committee to ask any questions or provide any comments. Mr. Domenici?
Yeah, where do you begin? Well, I took notes, and I wrote keywords, right, based on everything all of you spoke. And by the way, you all spoke beautifully. Very nice job. Very happy. I saw words like collaboration and relevant learning and reinforcing individual skills and student voice and accountability. Every day is a learning opportunity. I enjoy that one. Community, connection, celebrating student successes. I'm part of our next 5-year education plan committee, and I swear we should just get the kids from Studley in, and we wouldn't have to meet anymore, because I think you nailed it. You nail what we are trying to do here in Attleboro Public Schools, and I couldn't be prouder. And because I spoke about this with Miss McGuire, I am looking forward to coming in and checking out Makerspace with our partners in the Attleboro Police Department, because why should they get all the fun? Great job, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Domenici. Ms. Sawyer?
Thank you, Chairman. Scott took the words out of my mouth, but he also, the kids also mentioned that they feel safe and they can speak up, which is really important. If you're not feeling safe to, speak up and admit you need help or anything, it's a good thing. I'm very proud of you all.
Thank you, Ms. Sawyer. Mr. Bennett?
Thank you. There was a time when I was once a elementary school student, believe it or not, and I went to Studley, and so it just warms my heart to see kids representing Studley as well and as well spoken and as plainly spoken and as just genuinely sincere as you guys are, and your care for your school and your pride for your school just is completely evident in what you say and how you say it. And I want to thank you for taking your time to come here and help us to learn a little more about the excellent things that are going on at your elementary school, and specifically also want to thank your teachers and administrators who are taking time to do the same thing. So just, I feel great about seeing kids from Studley just being the clearly, evidently exemplary students and fine young people that you are. So thank you, and thank you to your parents for producing and just being excellent. And for being stars, I might even say.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Ms. Johnson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was really impressed with the foundation and belonging, the building of the community, the sharing of joy, and kudos to all the kids. You guys are doing a good job fostering that and sharing that, understanding that being a citizen, a good citizen, is just as important as your academics. So, and thank you to the staff for helping to continue to foster this and giving all the students that pathway, clearing the path for them to continue to excel and be their best selves.
Mr. Storrs?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I want to say it's very hard to come into a room full of adults and speak as well as you guys just did. I could tell you guys worked really hard on what you just did. Very thoughtful. I love how it started with the learning and then it moved into the community and the belonging and all the other things that are so important of a school, of what you guys experience every day. So you guys are stars, so great job.
Thank you, Mr. Storrs, and thank you, Ms. Johnson. Any other comments? So similar to Mr. Bennett, I also went to Studley Elementary School, although his time was a little before mine.
Hey.
But I will say, I think Mr. Bennett put it well. Obviously, the building looks very different than we were students there, but it feels like the environment is very different as well, the learning environment and the collaboration. Some of the words, like Mr. Domenici, I was taking notes, and I noted words like citizenship and being inclusive. So it's a fantastic environment. I'm now a Studley parent, which is crazy in my own mind. But again, congratulations to all 5 of you for coming and speaking before us and doing so well. Also credit to the school for, I think this is our first mascot appearance at a school committee meeting. So thank you to the staff. And of course, thank you to the staff and educators that are here to support students tonight and that work the magic every day to make students this confident and well-spoken and well-educated. So congratulations to all of you. I am going to pause the meeting for a moment to allow if any parents want to take some time to come around in front of the students just to briefly take a couple of quick photos. We can do that now. If any parent would like.
Keep going.
Yeah, there you go. Let's get the star in the back there.
Get the star right behind you.
Right here. Here's middle. Okay, good.
Hi, sorry.
You can come right in the middle here.
I know.
Excellent. Thank you all very much. If, before I send the students and families home, if you could just hang tight because we're going to take a quick step in our meeting that will give you all a chance to escape this room before the rest of the meeting continues. So thank you all again very much. At this time, the Attleboro School Committee will convene an executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Sections 21A2 and 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have detrimental effect. Collective bargaining may also be conducted. The committee will return to open session immediately following executive session. So I'll entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second.
All right, this will be a roll call vote, and I will start with Ms. Sawyer.
Yes.
Mr. Frappier.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Domenici.
Yes.
Mr. Geddes, yes. Mr. Storrs.
Yes.
Ms. Porto.
Yes.
Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
All right, motion passes unanimously. So the committee will be relocating to the superintendent's conference room. So anyone that's here for the remainder of the meeting is welcome to stay in here. So we will now go into executive session. The Attleboro School Committee is returning to open session. The next item on our agenda is the Student Advisory Council update, and for that, I will turn it over to Representative Lennox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, students are coming back refreshed after a very well-needed vacation, and Attleboro High School will be hosting the Drama Festival on March 1st, and it is going to start at 9 in the morning and go till 6 p.m. at night. Tickets will be $10 at the door, and the doors will be opening at 8:45 a.m. Attleboro will be performing at 12:15, and it is for the preliminary round of the Massachusetts Educational Theater Guild. We look forward to seeing everyone there.
Excellent. The Drama Festival is always incredible, and I know that it's something that our drama department is very proud to host. Any questions or comments from the committee? All right, seeing none. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report, and for that, I will send it over to Superintendent Sawyer.
Thank you, Chairman. At our last meeting, during open forum, we received feedback from the community that involved some serious allegations against the district that I wanted to address this evening. First and foremost, the Attleboro Public Schools is a large public institution with anywhere from 800 to 1,000 employees, depending on how you count them, that come to work every day. And whenever humans are involved, mistakes happen. We are not perfect. We don't get everything right. We don't always have everything exactly the way it needs to be. And so we remain, as an organization, open to the idea that sometimes we get it wrong and need to make corrections. We take every complaint seriously. We listen, and we try our best to work with people to address those concerns. I would say that as an organization, our record of taking those complaints seriously speaks for itself. I think we have demonstrated over and over again that there is accountability for our actions, and when our employees are on the wrong side of whatever the issue is, we make corrections and we make amends, and we own our mistakes and do our best to resolve them. I think that the state's recent review of the district and its policies, and the fact that there were no findings in our integrated monitoring review that was completed in January, is another strong indication that, as we say all the time, as a district, we take pride in the fact that we do things by the rules, we follow them, and we take them seriously. Now again, that doesn't mean that mistakes don't get made, but when they do, we own them. So it is with that when I say, as a backdrop to my point, that there are many of the things that were said at that last meeting, we do not agree with the presentation that was made. Now, I do not have any intent to get into detail about any of it for a couple different reasons. One, as the committee well knows, students have a right to confidentiality, and we as a district cannot and do not discuss individual student matters, and we're certainly not going to do that in a public forum. But also, I have no desire to get into open conflict with any of our families. There are disagreements from time to time, but trading blows and getting into a disagreement in this public setting is not, in my opinion, the best way to handle those things. And so for anyone who is watching from afar and wondering how to interpret the district's response to all of this, I would ask that you interpret my silence to mean that it is my preference that we not go point by point, because I do not wish to have to damage relationships with families, because ultimately we're here to serve children, and the relationships with the families are important to us. And so damaging that with a fight over these things, I don't think is in our interest. Now, the good news is that we don't have to do that, and that's not the way that the system is set up to resolve these things. Now, at the heart of much of what was said comes down to legal interpretations. A lot of legal interpretations have been made in the particular case that we're talking about, and I want to say, as you all know, I am not a lawyer. That's why the district employs lawyers to help us, to give us good counsel, to make sure that we are doing things the way we're supposed to be doing them, which is how we get the good review from the state that says that we're following things and are in compliance. Because the funny thing about the law is it is open to interpretation. That's why there are so many lawyers, right? So it is not the first time that the district's perspective on things, based on the counsel we get from our lawyers, differs from how someone else interprets it. That's a real part of life and not something that we could ever avoid. Luckily, the state offers, through its DESE problem resolution system, the means by which families can file a complaint and get the state to hear their point and to give us the feedback on what the resolution needs to be. And this is a common occurrence. It's something that goes on in the district with some regularity. And, you know, I'm here to report that sometimes the findings are the way we would want them to be, and, you know, that we haven't done anything wrong and that there's nothing to it. And then there are times in which the state tells us that there are things that we need to address and see a point that's being made by the complainant, and that we have to take steps to fix that. And that's something that we do regularly and are prepared to do in this case. There is an honest and sincere disagreement about, again, some of the interpretations of the law here. And, you know, we will certainly abide by whatever the state tells us we need to do. There has been some other components to this set of complaints that relate to HR in particular. So for this, I'd like to call up Ms. Singer, our HR director, to talk a bit about some of the personnel issues.
Good evening. Just to address the claims that we have illegal hiring practices, I just want to start with, our goal is to always hire the best person for the position that we're looking to fill. That is our goal. And just to give a little background of general information about our hiring, how our hiring is done, I'll just start with that before I get into the specific claim that was made. So for any vacancy that we have, we create job postings. Those job postings are submitted by the principal. The principals put together a hiring committee, a group of individuals in their building from different areas to hire a new staff member. That committee establishes KSABs for the position that they're filling. So knowledge, skills, abilities, and behavior. They sit and they brainstorm what are we looking for to fill this position, along with qualifications like licensure. Knowledge is what somebody knows. Skills are the things that they can do. Abilities are the capability or the capacity for somebody to do a certain thing. And then the behaviors are how people act and respond to situations. So the individual committees create lists. That list is different for every position because depending on what member of what team that position is on, there'll be different needs, right? You want a variety of skills on each team. Once the committee has established those KSABs, they then are allowed to look at resumes, because if they see the resumes first, then that kind of creates what they think they want, right? So you have them commit to what they're looking for and then give them access to resumes to then screen through and say, okay, this is who we're gonna interview. They also develop interview questions based on the knowledge, skills, abilities, and behaviors that they're looking for. So that's how the hiring process begins. If they get through interviews, hopefully they find candidates that are qualified and fit the skills, knowledge, abilities, and behaviors that they're looking for, and we hire a qualified applicant. Sometimes, as I've sat before you before, there are very challenging positions to hire into. Special ed, high school science, high school math, high school world language always are tricky. There aren't a lot of good candidates out there, and so those positions, and there are vacancies in many districts. That's not a unique to Attleboro situation. That's a national. Those job positions are tricky to fill. So if we do have a vacancy, we have three options. We repost, usually we repost the job, see if we get another pool of people and go through the hiring process again. That's one. The second one is to hire or post for a long-term sub. So long-term subs also have to be licensed per DESI. If you have a long-term sub in a position, someone who is creating lesson plans, grading, being the teacher in that room, they are also supposed to be licensed. So long-term sub is an option. We do have occasion where neither of those two things happen. And so for special ed rooms in particular, we have paraprofessionals in those classrooms. They're familiar with the students. So they then, one of them will step up and be the main person in the room, and any of the regulatory or special ed compliance pieces are done by a licensed special ed teacher who's in that building, but not necessarily the teacher for that classroom. So the services and the IEP compliance related items are covered by a licensed educator in that building. That's typically how, the range of covering a vacancy. Those last two options are also what we implore when we have leave of absences. So we do have staff who have medical leaves or maternity leaves, and we can't hire for that position, right? Like they own that position when they come, or they own a position when they come back. And so oftentimes it's either a long-term sub who fills that, or again, a paraprofessional who takes over the responsibility of that room. It is important to note that at the beginning of this school year, we were fully staffed in all of our special ed rooms, which was one of the first times in a while that all of our special ed positions, teaching positions, were filled at the beginning of a school year. Again, as I've mentioned before, how challenging it is to fill those. It's a feat in of itself at the beginning of the school year. To do that in the middle of a school year, after people have resigned, is extremely challenging, because the pool of individuals looking for jobs in the middle of a school year, first of all, is whittled down, and might not necessarily be the cream of the crop or the best individual for a position that we're looking for, right? So that did occur this year between December 17th and January 6th, so a 3-week time span. We had 4 resignations in our special ed classrooms. Again, 4 vacancies at the beginning of a school year is challenging. 4 in the middle in a very short time frame is challenging. Those positions were immediately posted on December 20th was the first one. We have posted them multiple times between December 20th and now. And we do have, in one of those cases, we did find a great candidate who's an internal candidate. So we're created a vacancy in another position, in a science position, which is challenging, right? So we're trying to fill that science position to move the educator into the special ed room. 2 other ones, Yvonne Medeiros, our Director of Special Ed, is in the process of interviewing for those. And in another one, we felt at this moment that it was best to put a para who is familiar with that room in as the educator, and we have applied for a waiver for her. So, as an aside, teachers need to be licensed to teach in their content area. Licensure, sometimes we hire people who have all of the qualifications to get a license, but either haven't, they may be missing a piece or two. We are allowed to apply to the Department of Ed for a waiver for those individuals. DESI considers a waiver a license. So this individual in one of these special ed classrooms, we are in the process of getting a waiver for. So that is you can have a waiver, you can have a license. Those are two pieces. So we are in the process of doing that for them. And then we also do have a maternity leave that is being covered by a para with, again, support from special ed teachers in that building. And that person will be returning mid-March. So that's the current of where we're at. Any questions so far before I move on to the next?
I'll even narrow it. Any questions for the Director of Human Resources to this point? Okay. It's a good water break for you.
Sorry, thanks, yeah. Okay, so as I mentioned at the beginning, our hiring practices have come into question, specifically around our practices violating federal law and exposing the district to legal and financial consequences based on the district's commitment to diversity and an inclusive workplace environment. The item or the wording that was brought into question was wording that is put on the top of all of our job postings, which I'm gonna use and read right from it, so I apologize. That says the Attleboro Public Schools are committed to recruiting, hiring, developing, and retaining a racially, ethnically, culturally, and linguistically diverse group of highly effective and culturally responsive staff. We are dedicated to creating an inclusive and racially affirming environment that welcomes and values the diversity of our staff and students. We foster fairness and inclusivity to create a workplace environment where everyone is treated with respect and dignity. The specific claim is saying that we violated Executive Order 14151, which is ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferencing, which directs the termination of all discriminatory programs, including DEI and DEIA mandates, and revises federal employment practices to reward individuals' initiatives and performance, in addition to Executive Order 14173, which is ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity, which rescinds all of DEI practices and programs across executive departments, revokes related executive actions, and directs agencies to end DEI initiatives in the private sector. The position that this person was referencing is a special education teacher position, and the claim is that the district's discriminatory hiring practices are grounds for federal funding denial, which would greatly or directly impact the child's right to FAPE. These are my points to that. Concerns that we're engaging in hiring practices. Current federal and state laws already prohibit the use of race, gender, or protected characteristics as a basis for hiring decisions, and the district has not and does not use such characteristics on the basis of hiring. Our policies and practices promoting DEI are not the same as unlawful preferences in individual hiring and promotion. Those are two different things. Protections provided under Massachusetts state law are more expansive than those covered under the federal law, and both prohibit the use of protected characteristics in the hiring process. The district's commitment to creating an inclusive environment does not outline or require a quote-unquote preference for individuals with a protected characteristic. The district's commitment instead underscores its desire to have a welcoming school environment for all staff and students. As outlined by the Mass Attorney General, initiatives promoting diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, various skill sets, and different perspectives and experiences in the workplace are not the same as affirmative action and do not involve providing preference to individuals based on protected characteristics in discrete hiring, promotion, or job retention decisions. In terms of financial consequences, the creation of an inclusive work environment actually limits the district's liability for potential litigation around by providing the district with the necessary foresight to minimize potential discriminatory claims against the district. I want to assure you and the community that our hiring practices do not violate any federal or state laws. We do strive to create a welcoming, supportive school environment and work environment for our staff and our students. And again, as I said in the beginning, our goal and our aim is to hire the best person for the job that we have vacant. So with that, any questions?
So does anybody have any questions related to hiring processes or the allegations made related to? Mr. Bennett?
Thank you. It's very obviously disturbing to hear allegations of of problems, particularly regarding special education. I know that all of us on the school committee, I believe, are committed to special education and want the best thing for every student here. One of our obligations as a school committee is to ensure that everything that's being done in the Attleboro Public Schools is compliant with the laws. So I think I personally understand how if 4 people resign in a week, you don't have 4 other special education teachers all hired and ready to go. But what I don't understand is if there are, in fact, laws about having a licensed teacher in, and it takes a little while to get a waiver for a para. During that time, are we compliant with other laws or regulations or whatnot that allow that practice to continue, or are we in fact stuck?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, as I mentioned, even though there wouldn't be a licensed teacher in the room, there are other staff in the building who are ensuring that we are in compliance with whatever regulatory or IEP-related items need to be done with that student. I did not mention, when we do that and we have a para who covers the class, the special ed director sends a letter to families explaining that this is what, this is the situation, this is what's going on, this is how we're covering services and education. So the families of the students involved in those rooms are made aware of that. So
there's a legal or regulatory window for which we can, during a short period of time or whatnot, have paras teaching special education classes. I just want to make sure that what we're doing is perfectly okay. And I'm guessing that the reason why we can't start the school year off with a stable of additional paraprofessionals and special ed teachers and teachers to back up every position is because we're operating under a level service budget from year after year after year, and there's just no way that even if there were a pool of talented special education teachers who you could pull from at will, we can't pull from them until we have a vacancy, and it takes time to hire people. All right, those things make sense to me, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Any other questions, Mr. Domenici?
Thank you. So I have actually 2. 4 special ed teachers in a short period of time is certainly a challenge, and some could even consider alarming. This was across the district? This wasn't all at one school, correct?
1 at a middle school and 3 others were at the same elementary school, yes.
Okay. And in order to comply with what Mr. Bennett was just asking about, do we rely simply on the special ed specialists, paraprofessionals within a school? Are there times like that where we may have to go to one of our other schools and impact? And if any of that happens, to make these adjustments, just to confirm, every parent of a child in that particular area where a teacher is resigned for whatever reasons has to be notified, right?
Correct.
This person has resigned, and here is the steps that we're taking in order to ensure services are met?
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
The only question I had, it's less about hiring, but to Mr. Domenici's clarifying point about resignations, there was no connection between the 3 resignations. All 3 were for separate reasons.
All 3 were for separate reasons. Yes.
Mr. Lennox, you had a question?
I just have a clarifying question. So if you have someone who's hired on a waiver, is there a period of time that they have to get a license by, or how does that work?
Yeah, so great question, thank you. So the waivers are good for a school year, and so If someone is issued a waiver this school year, so long as they are making progress towards a license, they can be issued a waiver in 2 subsequent years.
And is that something that we provide help or access to, is getting that training?
There are different components to applying for a license, a degree, passing MTELs, which are tests for different, there's a test for everyone depending on, and so most people attempt to do them on their own. Sometimes we have people who don't quite do it on their own, and we do provide resource for them to help them be able to pass that.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Thank you, Ms. Singer. I would say hang tight just in case any follow-up questions come later. Thank you.
Jordan? I just wanted to end my comments to say that, as I know the committee knows full well, as an underfunded district, we are only able to accomplish what we do with the limited resources that we have as a result of a very talented and dedicated staff. And I just wanted the staff at Thatcher and in the room in question in particular to know that the administration appreciates their dedication and all that they do to serve the children at Thatcher and in the special education programs at Thatcher. And I know that in this moment and the attention that they've received, some of them feel quite beleaguered, and some of the social commentary on social media leads them to feel pretty despondent. And I just wanted to let them know that they're watching, that, as we continue to monitor the situation and where we feel like someone has done something wrong, we've demonstrated that we will hold people accountable, but where people are doing their best to do what is a very challenging job, I want them to know that we appreciate their efforts, and that's not lost on us that this is a difficult moment for them. With that said, it is my position that in this moment, the committee has, asked multiple questions of the administration in the last 2 weeks, done its due diligence and its fact-finding. This is in the hands of the state, and, we look forward to hearing what they have to say, and between now and then, really, it's just a job of waiting for an arbiter to weigh in and help separate out how we're gonna resolve this.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyer, and I know I will echo your comments to the classroom educators at Thatcher. As you said, we know this has been a difficult year. That we're not just in a difficult moment, but this has been a difficult year at Thatcher, and we appreciate not only the building administration but also the classroom educators and the families' patience and support to get through it. I have some other questions. As Mr. Sawyer mentioned, there was a DESE complaint that was filed that detailed some other pieces, and so I just want to ask a couple of follow-up questions related to those specifically. A lot of them were related to staffing and the job postings, which Ms. Singer has clarified already. One was related to public records request denial. I was hoping the administration might be able to provide a response that details that process and what the
so the district, like with everything else, follows the rules around public records requests. As I think some people are aware, the weaponization of FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, has become a popular tool. The only recourse we have when we are burdened with extensive record requests that take hours of work to compile is to charge, and so there are charges related to elements of the request. When it comes to answering questions that are easy to answer, happy to do that. Happy to also provide reasonable requests for information, especially when they are, if this were information that is in the student record, then there isn't, people have a right to that information. Certainly respect the desire to see information related to the situation. But, when it becomes, 10 years worth of information that, from my perspective, isn't really relevant. And I agree, I want to say ahead of time, people can disagree about these things, but it's the district's perspective that this is an undue burden, which we have every right under the law to charge, to recoup the lost time in accumulating those materials.
And so, I'm sorry, I'm going to take a procedural step back. I know the committee has questions and comments on all of this, but I wanted to get through some of the itemized pieces of the complaint before doing so. I also want to clarify for the community, I was in receipt of the complaint from DESE over the weekend, and I did share that with the committee for them to review. And included in that was the response to the initial public records request. If I'm not mistaken, additional public records requests have been submitted and are set to have a response sometime within the next couple of business days.
In process, in keeping with the timeline.
Thank you. So does the committee have any questions related to the public records requests? Okay. There were also some challenges to administrator licensure in the complaint as well. I don't know if the administration's prepared to clarify or respond to those allegations.
Speak to the two that we talked about this morning? Yeah.
Specifically, it was the assistant principals at Thatcher and Hyman Fine.
So the assistant principal at Thatcher, I believe, may have been a name. So she has a hyphenated last name, Keene Desitel. If you look under Keene, her license is there. And the other one is under a waiver, as I mentioned before. We have a waiver process ongoing for her.
And the waiver process is typically used in the case of an administrator that is achieving their licensure and is close to it.
So as we've done frequently and very successfully over the last several years of recruiting from within to take over administrator positions from teachers who want to do that and who we feel can excel in that. This was one of the cases here where we had an educator who wanted to be in this position. They have been in the district for a very long time and so have knowledge of the district and the workings of the district, but still need to do a few more pieces to obtain an educator license, which is a little bit more. So right now she's in her apprenticeship and kind of being mentored and going through an apprentice program with her principal. So you do a waiver for those.
Any questions related to the assistant principal licensures? All right, thank you. Next was related to ACEPAC. I know that in our, every year, the entire administration provides an update in our first full committee meeting after the start of the school year. And the director of special education at the time had made mention to the fact that a lot of the parents that were involved with ACEPAC their students had graduated out of the district, and so they were still planning to recruit a new executive board, new members to bring ACEPAC back to its full life. Does the administration have an update as to where that stands? I think
other than it's in process and that that rejuvenation is in process, yes.
Okay. And then the two of the last three were related to directly to the IEP for the specific student and equipment to them. And based on what you were saying earlier, the administration is not in a place to comment on that publicly. Correct. Thank you. So with that, does the committee have any overarching questions, comments, concerns? Ms. Johnson.
Regarding the ACEPAC, I understand the rejuvenation is in process. Do we have any particular timeline of when, timeline of the process or timeline when we expect that to be fully up and running? And if we don't have that tonight, is that information that we can we can obtain.
Yeah, so I don't have any details on that. Just to make sure that everyone understands, I mean, a CPAC, which is a legal requirement, is an external organization outside of the district's control, right? So it's not a PTO, but in the same way a PTO is an external organization that works with the schools. The CPAC, in this case ACEPAC, is its own organization that we have a responsibility to partner with. I will get you the details that you're looking for on that.
Okay, but there is somebody leading that effort that we are working with?
Yes, a former and well-respected ACEPAC member.
Thank you.
Mr. Domenici.
Yeah, I had a follow-up on the 4 resignations. Do we still have 4 openings?
We still have 2 official openings and 2 in process.
The 2 have been filled, 2 are in process.
I'm sorry. The middle school position has been filled by an internal candidate, but we are waiting to backfill the science position in order
Right.
for that internal candidate to move. So it's filled, but not yet filled technically. One of the 3 at Thatcher is being filled for the rest of the year by a para who is getting a waiver and who will have that for the remainder of this year. The other 2, Yvonne is in process of interviews.
I know you
Very
mentioned some of it. I
limited.
just wanted
That's
to.
okay.
let
Very
it all
limited
go.
candidate pool for both of those positions. Very limited.
Any other questions? I had a question in it. It completely escaped me. It was related to, I knew I should have written it down. I apologize. Any other questions? Oh, I remember it now. What is the typical timeline with a DESE investigation, and when can we expect a response from them and a determination?
I mean, it really varies. It can be as short as within a week, and it can take a month, depending on requested extensions and, depending how extensive it is. So it's hard to say exactly what to expect, but given how far-reaching this complaint was, I would imagine it's going to take a little bit longer than normal.
And the response to that report, I'm guessing, is shared with both the administration and the person that submitted the complaint?
Yes, we get the same finding.
Okay. Any other Mr. Bennett?
Regarding the staffing levels in general, it's obviously, it's difficult to have, if you need 4 teachers, to have 4 and expect them to all be there, right? If in the presentation that you've made the last couple of years to the combined meeting of the school committee and the city council, you've identified in a proper funding area where if we had the funding that you believe would be appropriate for the level of, for the schools in general, you always make a section about what you would do with that money. And would having more redundancy in special education staffing levels be on that list?
So honestly, the idea of getting to a place where we could afford redundancy has not occurred to us. If we were funded at that average level, which would result in us having somewhere between $25 and $30 million more, if we had that kind of funding, I think that idea would be an excellent one, one that would be nice to be able to build in some. And I imagine in districts that are more flush, it's not so much that they have someone sitting in a pen waiting to get called in. It's more that there's more staff in any one building than technically you need. And so if you go down one, what you get left is the kind of situation we face normally, right? So I think that's how that really plays out. And so, that would be wonderful. But even when we do our needs assessment, we're not imagining being funded at that kind of level. We're just trying to get to a place where we can deliver the services that are required of us. Now, there's not a lot specifically in terms of special educators on that list because basically most of our staffing in special education is driven by compliance. And so, we can't go with fewer
sped teachers than we need, because then we'd already be out of compliance. So we do run the district, compliantly. So we already have technically what we need. Now, every program in the building would tell you that if we had more staff, they'd be able to do a better job. So, that's a minimum standard, which isn't preferable, but that's where we operate.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My second item for this evening is just to give you a quick update on our budget timeline. We'll be meeting with the administration at City Hall on Wednesday to have our first real discussion about a budget number. Not sure what to expect, as I believe the city's budget director is away due to National Guard
service
obligations. Yeah. And so that process has been slowed down a little bit by that, but we obviously need to get to where we can propose a budget. And so that conversation starts in earnest on Wednesday. Just for point of reference for the committee, I've taken a good look at our funding levels. The high water mark for the city in the last 10 years, well, forever really, was 104% of net school spending about 5 years ago. In the last 10 years, the average has been 2.5%, so 102.5%. So, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to get to a number that's closer to that range. It's hard to imagine that this year is going to be a year in which we get back to where we need to push for, but we have really pushed our thinking into really just looking at it on the macro level of percentage of net school spending, and we'll be having a conversation about that. We know that the budget development on the city side continues. For people who are reading the paper today, there was an article about how health insurance costs are skyrocketing all over the place. That's true here in Attleboro as well. We don't have a final number quite yet, but we're expecting an increase very similar to what we saw in the paper in other communities. So there's a lot that still needs to go into getting us to a final number. But the thing I wanted to make sure you were aware of is that we are planning for a budget hearing on April 7th. And so, we'll have to put that in the paper ahead of that so that we can do that hearing. But as far as we're concerned, we need to get ready so that we can do the hearing on the 7th. So we would need a number to put in the paper before that. So that's, sort of the timeline that we're on in being able to present a budget to the committee.
Any questions related to budget? All right, thank you.
All right, and then my final item this evening, something that we've known and dreaded, quite frankly, for some time, has finally occurred. Mr. Furtado this month put in writing that he will be retiring about a year's time from now. This is, for all of us that have been working with him, we know that he will be impossible to replace, but we have to plan for running the district in his absence when we do allow him to take that retirement, which I believe we're required to do. If anybody knows anything about my ability to deny that, I'll certainly be willing to listen. We knew this was coming. We took steps to plan for it. As the committee well knows, we went out and recruited with the intent to be able to train someone with him while he was with us to be able to take this role. And so now that we're here and we have, the processes that we need to go through to put everything in place for next year, the administration wants the committee to know that it is our recommendation that we go through with the plan that we put in place in the first place of being able to appoint the assistant director, Brittany Perella, as Mark's replacement, as was our hope
would work out. Now that we're here in this moment, the administration is very comfortable with that move, but in accordance with state law, it's the committee's decision to make, and so I make that recommendation to the committee this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyer. Before we make a motion or discuss a motion, I'm not going to let Mr. Furtado off the hook. I want to first congratulate Mr. Furtado on his retirement. Thank you for your years of service and work with both the school district, the city. Even our youngest audience member is impressed by you. So congratulations to you, and thank you for everything. And I'm sure there will be plenty of time between now and next February to share some of those thoughts further. But at this time, based on the superintendent's recommendation, I will entertain a motion to appoint Brittany Perella to the position of Director of Finance / Controller pending contract negotiations.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments, thoughts on the motion? Mr. Storrs.
Yeah, again, this was the executive session that we had earlier tonight. The administration speaks extremely highly. I mean, this was the plan all along. You've been learning from the best for the past year, and you will continue to have him available. This seems like such a no-brainer to me, so.
Any other, Mr. Frappier?
Sure. And serving on the Finance Committee with Mark Furtado and Bernie has been great for the last year. I have full confidence that she'll be able to attempt to step into Mark's shoes right away, but eventually get there, too.
Any other questions? Or comments, rather? Again, this motion is explicitly mentions that this is pending contract negotiations. So the district will begin that process if the vote is successful. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any in opposition? Seeing none, the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Brittany. We look forward to working with you. Next on the agenda is a motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyer. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve the minutes from our February 10th meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any comments, edits, updates, questions? Mr. Storrs?
I just noticed that because it was a regular meeting, and I think I saw a reference at the beginning to a special meeting, so towards the top. Maybe in two spots. Okay.
Oh, sorry. I was in the
Way towards the top, yep. I think it said special meetings.
Yeah, the 2 paragraphs before spotlight.
Oh, thank you. Yep. So we'll remove the word special meeting, or the word special, to say that the chairperson called the meeting to order. Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Storrs. In both paragraphs, after the listed attendees.
We presume that was a holdover because we did have a special meeting a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Any other edits, thoughts, comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is our consent agenda. There are 2 items. Vacation weeks tend to slow down donations. But we have a motion to accept a contractual obligation in the amount of $78.25 from Planet Aid as broken down in the check receipt dated February 13th, 2025. And a motion to accept a donation in the amount of $100 from Alliance Services and Management to the Attleboro High School DECA Club. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is open forum. This is a time when members of the public may address the school committee Open forum is not a time for the committee members to engage in dialogue with members of the public. Guidelines for open forum are available to you. Please know that we are interested in what you have to say, but we cannot respond without background information on your issue. Each open forum participant will be given 3 minutes to address the committee. Anyone that would like to address the committee, please come forward to the podium to state your name and address for the record.
I expect that everybody's public comment be added verbatim into the next meeting minutes, please. We have a lot to say today. My son Loki is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. From the moment I saw those 2 dark lines, not only did I discover my purpose, but also my son's life. And my purpose was to protect this beautiful soul at any and all costs, to fight relentlessly for him, and to teach him all that is beautiful in this broken world and how to navigate through it. You see, even before Loki was out of the womb, this world had already decided that his needs were a problem to be swept under the rug. I fought for him to be seen as human then, and I will fight for him now. Loki's extra chromosome and disabilities make him a blessing, not a burden. Right now, my abilities to help my son learn and develop are being hindered by the actions and inactions of the Attleboro Public Schools administration. Loki is being denied his best chance at being able to tell the world his needs. As many parents and educators know, younger years are crucial for learning communication, and any time wasted now is exponentially as harmful. Even after begging and pleading, hundreds of emails back and forth, bringing public exposure, and consistently providing evidence and facts, professional referrals, and case law, Loki's needs have been pushed to the side. There is no full-time special needs teacher in his classroom. I am still unable to edit his speech device to adapt it to Loki's daily life. I've been begging for this common sense accessibility since May of last year. Loki loves going to Tex Barry's, the hot dog place. In fact, quite often he's recognized there by some of the school staff, even ones who do not work directly with him. Loki has this effect on people. He is unforgettable and filled with a radiant light, as you can see. Loki is limited to pointing and going, without a communication device. He recognizes and remembers the people who work there. He knows the menu, he knows what he wants, but he cannot tell me or them because the district refuses to let me have the customization access to his device. He cannot tell the man in the tie-dye t-shirt that he loves so much that he just wants a cheeseburger and a cup of Sprite, not one of his nasty hot dogs. But if the device was unlocked, I could build out a whole page of useful buttons in about 30 seconds, giving Loki and me a way to communicate with one another and to the world. Imagine how frustrating that must be for Loki. But guess what? He can't tell us that either. I asked each and every board member individually what they would personally do about Loki's situation, besides Rob Geddes and Shannon Johnson, thank you for responding to me, who has been actively communicating with me this entire time. Only 2 responded to my emails, not including you. Neither of them answered my question. It was simply deflection back to the administration. I had suggested to these board members to use their position to publish a call to recruit certified special needs teachers to the Sun Chronicle, but none acknowledged this. I have given every chance possible to this district to solve this problem without having to go through problem resolution, Office of Civil Rights, and other legal and oversight avenues in an attempt to protect this district from financial harm. But my grace has been thoroughly taken advantage of. I will no longer wait for you to do the right thing. I have filed with these boards and agencies as of this morning. Loki is my son. He is human, he is worthy, and I will never stop protecting with him with every fiber of my being. I will never stop fighting for him using every tool available and to the ends of the earth. I will never stop loving him unconditionally. And I encourage all men to stand by their children as I have, otherwise evil wins.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Mr. Ford, can you please state your name?
44R Smith Street, Attleboro.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alexander Taddy. I live in Mendon, Massachusetts. Good evening, members of the school board, administrators, and fellow parents. I'm here tonight not just as a parent, but an advocate for every child in this district who is being denied the basic educational rights they are owed. I have a child with special needs, and she is on an IEP in Mendon, Massachusetts. What I've heard from my friend Joe here about what's going on is unacceptable. I am a 30-minute drive from Attleboro, and it seems as though the standards have dropped in that 30 minutes for whatever reason. Why is a child's access to basic educational rights dependent on their zip code? Why is one school district upholding the duty while another is leaving children behind. Loki is not the only child in this district suffering because of the administration's failures. How many other children are being denied what they need? How many parents are exhausted from fighting a system that was supposed to support them? This is not just about one family. This is about a pattern of failure that the public is watching. The eyes of the community and beyond are on you. In today's world, no injustice stays hidden. Parents are speaking up, sharing their experiences, such as myself, and holding districts accountable. Because believe me, if this happened in my district, I'd be in the same spot. I would be here. The people of Attleboro deserve better. The teachers and staff who work tirelessly in these classrooms deserve better. And above all, children who cannot advocate for themselves, specifically Loki, deserve better. The problems here are not unsolvable either. Other districts just minutes away are proving that. I don't have to fight for IEP meetings. I get bi-weekly updates on my daughter. They work with me consistently. They've never given me a hard time, ever. They're lovely there. I don't understand why we can't get the same amount of respect. It's time for this board to stop offering excuses and start delivering some solutions because the world is watching you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taddy.
Hi, my name's Jennifer. I'm here in regards to my son, Hunter DeGeorge. He's a student at Studley Elementary. I have numerous calls to Mr. Sawyer's office in regards to the safety and concerns of my son in Studley Elementary upon elopements, restraint holds, and the fact that my son is in a general education classroom that they want to keep him in, and he cannot function. I've had numerous emails and meetings with Yvonne Medros, Allison Washington, Jennifer Graham, in regards to giving my son the services that he needs to be able to function in a general ed classroom. And I was told at the last IEP meeting, it's not in the budget. Well, my husband and I went out and got ABA therapy because we were told that if we can get it, then they have worked with outside ABA before. Well, we got that. And now because it's not on his behavioral plan that they miraculously don't have anymore, and it's not school funded, it's not allowed. So my son can't get ABA therapy to help him function, to learn to function in a general ed classroom with his peers because it's not school funded. Wouldn't you want a child to be able to have the services he needs, to be able to sit in a classroom with his peers and learn the same way that he should as his best friend does? But instead he's in a classroom with kindergarten, first, and second grade, segregated because he doesn't get the services that he needs to function in a general ed classroom. We're just asking for Hunter to be able to have the support he needs to be able to function in a classroom. My son has thrown chairs. He tried hanging himself from a mini blind at Studley Elementary School last year because he was overstimulated and overwhelmed and couldn't function in the general ed classroom. And I was told it's just him wanting to control the situation, him wanting to do a preferred task. No, it's my son not being able to function. He's autistic. He has sensory processing disorder, ADHD, he has OCD, and he cannot function, but yet it's him controlling the classroom. I'm sorry, if your son tried to hang himself because he was overstimulated, would you just agree with them? No. My son is at risk to himself, other students, and teachers. If you find my son at Brennan basketball hoops, that's because he eloped and the school couldn't go get him, so they call over to Brennan to have someone go sit with him so they can get over there. We've already been removed from Hill Roberts for safety issues to Studley. Now we're having the same safety issues, and we're trying to get him to be able to function in a classroom, but he's being denied that because it's not school funded. So I have multiple restraint holds so far from this year. I have 35 from last year, 40-something from kindergarten. He cannot function, but yet you're going to sit here and continue to tell him that he's okay. It's not. So I want the district to help me get the support that I need for my son.
Thank you. Ms. DeGeorge, your address for the record, please.
4 McKay Street, Attleboro, Mass.
Thank you. there anyone else that would like to address the committee as part of open forum?
Hi, I'm Jenna Lee Torres, and I live on 26 West Street. Most of you know me actually because I used to work for Attleboro High School. Yes, I left due to many reasons, but my daughter attends Thatcher. A couple weeks ago, try not to cry, sorry, but she suffered an injury where no kid should experience where that injury is. Due to the lack of supervision on the playground, because some of the parents were on break. My daughter's legally blind, she's autistic, she doesn't really communicate well. I had to demand the video when I got to that school to see why and how in the world did this happen. When I watched the video, there was no teacher near her. She was swinging on the bars. She tried to come down from the bars and slipped. So I reached out to you. I reached out to Dave, and I'm surprised I didn't get a response back to you because we worked so close together for years. It was kind of sad and disappointed. Not a response, which hurt my feelings. And then Maderos hit me up saying and offering me if she can have a one-on-one or move her out of district. Those are not good options. If I move Jayla out of district, even though you guys say you'll cover the cost, why can't you cover the cost of that to get more people to get help in the classroom? Use that money that you'll use to send Jayla out of the district, put that towards someone or volunteers or covering more time to extra parents to cover breaks or something. And if you're offering to have her have a one-on-one, which I've been a para and I've done one-on-ones, I've worked in Insights and 12 plus, and I've had my one-on-ones and it's difficult. It's just not making sense to me. Why spend money on a one-on-one when you can spend more money to raise the pay for paraprofessionals because the pay is not great? Why are 4 teachers resigning in Thatcher? Why? Why is there so many in a short period of time? What is going on that you're not telling us? I don't feel comfortable. I feel let down. My child's unsafe. I don't like it. Something has to change. I shouldn't be getting a call like that when I work 45 minutes away to rush to get my child because no one kept her safe. Now please explain that to me. How is that right? How does that make sense? How can I trust you? How can I trust this board? The school, anything. I know how y'all work. I've seen y'all work. I worked in the system with y'all for a long time. I hear a lot of excuses. It needs to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. Is there anyone else that would like to speak as part of open forum? Seeing none, I will close open forum. Reminders of upcoming meetings and events with the schools. This Wednesday, February 26th, the Infrastructure and Facilities Subcommittee meeting will be meeting at 6:30 p.m. at Thatcher Elementary School. Monday, March 3rd, Policy and Personnel Committee will be meeting here in the Zito Conference Room at 6:30 p.m. Wednesday, March 5th, the Finance and Budget Subcommittee will be meeting at 6:30 p.m. Is that meeting, because we have strategic planning happening here, so is that meeting happening in the Superintendent's Conference Room? Thank you. The next full school committee meeting is Monday, March 10th, here in the Zito Conference Room at 6:30. And a reminder to the community that A Night to Discover, the district-wide event, will be happening here at Attleboro High School on Wednesday, March 10th at 6:30 p.m. Any other updates or new business from the committee? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.